The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems. Welcome to our review of the 2015 Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli and IDIS Superlights Challenge. We look at the story of the season, charting the highs and lows on the way to claiming the ultimate prize with our champions. Ready for the change of lights, and away we go. Away we go, and watch the black and yellow Lotus from fourth on the grid. Luke Van Loon with a very good start. He's around both front row starters into the air, Salinxa. Championship leader Jorg Schumacher in fifth place, the black and gold Wolf driver being a little cautious down into the first turn. Battle on for second in front of us, Henry Zumbrink on the right, on the left is Niels Bohaus, in the centre is the Corvette. No idea what caused its advanced slice. I think probably just metal fatigue with the enormous forces on the wheels. That can happen. It all came together nicely though for the Wolf duo, Joey Van Splunteren and Jorg Schumacher. Two of the leading cars dropped out, but are they on their way to the third win of the season to minimise their 16-point disadvantage to the championship leaders? Or should we say the champions, because victory in race 2 for Mark van der Aar and Koen Burkhardt seals the Supersport title for them and Peter van Solen. Reigning champion in the Super GT class, Roger Graals. Last year he won the title by just 7 points, and this year he returns in the same SRT Viper to defend his crown. I've improved my own racing skills over the winter. I'm very happy to do the round on my own, so I can learn the car a little better. I think it should be a good thing for me. The Dutch race art team that runs the Viper faces plenty of highly experienced opposition, like the all-Belgian Sellerslag Racing Team entry. They've got a Corvette GT2 with drivers Jeffrey van Hooijdonk and here Nicolas van Dierendonk. The team's new to the Pirelli tyres in the series, and they need to work hard to improve their setup. Nicolas says when we can optimise the setup and get a little bit more heat in the tyres, we should be very competitive. Unfortunately, we haven't done much testing on the Pirellis, and that's not helping, but we hope to do better in the next few races. Roger Graals' title defence gets off to a strong start as he wins the season opener ahead of Nicolas van Dierendonk and Jeffrey van Hooijdonk, with Barry van Elk third in the Mosler MT900R. Henry Zumbrink with his blue Volvo S60 V8 was heading towards a win in race 1, but a puncture put an end to that. He again takes the lead in the second race of the weekend, behind in the battle between Roger Graals and the copper-coloured Mercedes SLS of Diedrich Seithoff. Graals drops back to third place initially, retakes second and then loses it once more. It's a close battle behind Henry Zumbrink, the race leader. Eventually Graals gets back in front, but then it all goes wrong. Susoff misjudges his braking, clatters into Graals, who then has to retire with a broken oil pump. After victory on Saturday, it's 0 points on Sunday for the champion. Better fortune though for Henry Zumbrink. He wins race 2 in the Volvo. Well, that helps Zumbrink's championship standings. He's second, but Van Dierendonck and Van Hooijdonk, the newcomers, top the table after race weekend number 1. Second round of the championship was held during the Spa Euro races. Tough luck for Henry Zumbrink as his engine lets go in race 1, 0 points and a major championship blow. At Team Race Art, Kelvin Snooks has joined the lineup. He and Roger Graals take victory, while championship rivals Nicolas Van Dierendonck and Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk end up in third. At the start of race 2, Van Dierendonck has to defend pole, but at La Source he already loses the lead to Roger Graals. Henry Zumbrink pushing hard as well. On the right-hand side, Zumbrink squeezes between Van Dierendonck's Corvette and the pit wall to take second position. Niels Bohaus with the black and red BMW Z4 moves up as well, and Max Cobalt slots into fourth in his Volvo S60 V8. Van Dierendonck a little too cautious, losing loads of places early on. A third retirement of the season takes Henry Zumbrink out of the equation late. The race is won by visitors in a Renault RS01. Behind them, Kelvin Snooks and Roger Graals, so they take maximum championship points in the second race at Spa. Henry Zumbrink drops down to 7th position in the standings, up from 6th to 2nd. Roger Graals and Kelvin Snooks ahead of Barry Van Elk, but our Corvette duo still lead the standings as they leave Spa. With the Corvette drivers still at the top of the tree, Roger Graals and Kelvin Snooks with plenty of work to do. The third round at Zolder starts well. Graals takes the lead in the first race, but this weekend they're undone by their huge number of result seconds. First race is won by Henry Zumbrink, the second by Van Hooijdonk and Van Dierendonck, who keep their championship lead. The fourth round of the championship at Zandvoort should favour the Dutch competitors, but it's the championship leaders who claim pole. Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk making a big lead immediately. Unfortunately, he wears his tyres too early. Henry Zumbrink benefits from that attack, and he goes on to win the race. His third victory of the season, only his third finish. Roger Graals, Kelvin Snooks as second, the points leaders in third. In race 2, suddenly worried faces at Sellerslag Racing. Just before the pit stops, the Corvette is off in the gravel. Nicolas Van Dierendonck, being passed by Henk Tace in the Radical RXC, clearly didn't see him coming. Contact, and that could well cost the Belgians the championship lead. They do score points, but as Henry Zumbrink wins his 4th race of the season, the Viper drivers are right behind him. So finally, some movement. Team ART duo now 5 points behind the Corvette pair, and Henry Zumbrink closing the gap to Barry Van Elk as well, who had technical problems in both races. Good race results mean championship points. They also mean result seconds, making it harder to get on the podium. At the crowded Gamma Racing Day, winning in front of a huge crowd will be part of the equation. Result seconds don't stand in the way of Henry Zumbrink, who wins on Saturday. On Sunday, Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk takes the lead, but they are hamstrung by their result seconds. He and Nicolas Van Dierendonck lose out, and it's Barry Van Elk who wins his first race of the season, clearly delighted to win in front of such a huge audience. Nevertheless, Van Dierendonck and Van Hooijdonk still lead the championship as we arrive at Brands Hatch for the 6th round of the season. Their lead will only increase as in the second race of the weekend, Max Cobalt takes too much of a risk overtaking Roger Graals for second, and it all goes wrong. Graals is able to continue after a few laps, but he and Kelvin Snooks are down in 5th at the flag. Nicolas Van Dierendonck got a new teammate for the weekend in Brit Archie Hamilton. They win both races at Brands Hatch, and thus the Belgian entrepreneur continues to extend his lead in the championship. He and Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk now 15 points ahead of Team Race Art, and it looks like Roger Graals and Kelvin Snooks will need a small miracle to take the lead of the championship with just 2 rounds to go. But that miracle appears very quickly. In the 7th round of the championship at Spa-Francorchamps, well before the pit stops, Van Dierendonck is out with a broken gearbox, and that means the championship leaders score 0 points. Their main rivals, though, finish in 3rd place at the checker, and they overhaul them for the championship lead. In race 2, the rival teams battle for supremacy. Roger Graus getting around the outside on the bus stop to take second place from Nicolas van Dierendonck, the Corvette eventually dropping back to fourth as Max Cobalt and Wesley Carranza take the final spot on the podium. Roger Graus and Kelvin Snooks came to Spa 15 points behind. They leave 13 points in front with only one race weekend to go. And at the Formido finale, their mission to complete both races, staying close to the Corvette duo and taking no risks. And that's exactly what they do. So Roger Graus and Team Race Art win the Super GT Championship for the second consecutive year. And this time, Kelvin Snooks joins them. Second time we won the title, says Roger. Just amazing. So happy with the result. Really exciting. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get on the podium for the final race, but our mission was to keep the car in one piece. Kelvin did a fantastic job. We both had such a good time this season. Really pleased. Excellent. Wanted to finish on the podium, but the team said to slow down, make sure we finish the race, says Kelvin. I'm still happy. We're champions. That's what matters. Doesn't matter if you finish fourth or fifth. Who cares? It's all about the championship, and we've pulled it off. Last year, Team Race Art won the championship by 7 points. It's exactly the same margin this year. And Henry Zumbrink sets a new record, 6 wins in the season. Time to catch up now with the GTB class. Last year, 17-year-old Max Cobalt was the champion in the Davitec Engineering Corvette C6. This year, another new talent makes his debut in the GTB class in the same car. After 11 years of karting, a lot is expected of 20-year-old Milan Doncic. Well, it's going to be a year of learning in GT racing and adapting to the car. Of course, our main goal is to win the championship, but we don't want to try and overdo it too fast. Everything's going well so far. In training, we are very competitive, so no complaints. Well, the season kicks off very nicely for them. They take victory in race 2 at Zolder and also in the first race at Spa. But then bad luck comes their way in race 2 in Belgium. Milan Doncic tapped from behind. Radical RXC driver Roland Tavart can't avoid hitting him. 0 points for the Davitec duo. Good fortune falls in the lap of Lamborghini driver Simon Atkinson. He wins the second race of the weekend, chased by Porsche drivers Patrick Lamster and Chris Coles, with Dan Meyer in third. Championship leaders before the race, Milan Doncic and Ferdinand Kuhl, drop back down to fourth position. Simon Atkinson remains in second as Porsche drivers Lamster and Coles jump in front. They're now the points leaders as they were after round 1. But in the third round at Zolder, where Patrick Lamster has the early lead in the first race, he's immediately under pressure from Milan Doncic. Doncic claims the lead in GTB, and only Simon Atkinson can apply any pressure to the Corvette driver. Maximum points, though, go to Milan Doncic and Ferdinand Kuhl. In third place, Patrick Lamster and Chris Coles in their Porsche. In the second race of the Cintiq Super Prix, the lead falls to BMW Silhouette drivers Vard Slice and Frederick Jonckera. They're soon chased down by Ferdinand Kuhl. This is the battle on track now for the lead. Ferdinand Kuhl in the Corvette right behind Vard Slice in that BMW M4 Silhouette. The Corvette has a power advantage, the BMW a handling advantage. It's lighter, and with all the short straights and heavy braking here at Zolder, that's allowing the BMW to just keep its nose in front. The Corvette's caught, but passing might be a different matter. Last lap in GTB, final corner, Vard Slice still in front in the BMW M4 Silhouette, and the Corvette won't be able to get through before the checkered flag. So although they're second, Kuhl and Doncic still finish in front of their main championship rivals. All in all, not a bad result for them. Ferdinand Kuhl and Milan Doncic are the new championship leaders, 1 ahead of Porsche drivers Lamster and Coles, 2 ahead of Lamborghini's Simon Atkinson. In the fourth round of the championship at Zandvoort, Milan Doncic and Ferdinand Kuhl are hard at it again. They take the lead in the first race of the weekend, miles in front of the chasing pack. And Patrick Lamster under pressure from Bob Herber, down the inside into Tarzan, almost contact there. Herber in the black Z4 Silhouette, and he's got Porsches everywhere, 1 in front and 2 behind Marcel van Berlo, and then the Martini car of Dan Meyer with Frederick Jonckera's M4 Silhouette next up. The white and blue car and Herbert on the inside. Uses the grip he's got to get inside the Porsche, and Lamster now hung out to dry a little. Marcel van Berlo trying to come the long way round the outside, and that might work for him. Now he goes left. Dan Meyer trying to squeeze his nose through. That's bad news for Patrick Lamster. He lost 2 places, nearly lost 3. And Meyer looking at having a go. Frederick Jonckera, Simon Atkinson, the Lamborghini, and then Pierre-Etienne Bourdais in another Porsche. They're all queuing up. Lamster offline. It's so sandy offline here. His tyres aren't working for him. Through has gone Dan Meyer. Through goes Frederick Jonckera. And Lamster desperately trying to get the door shut on somebody, anybody. Pierre-Etienne Bourdais got in front of Simon Atkinson's Lamborghini Gallardo. Atkinson then suffers a brake failure. Third place man in the championship ends up in the gravel. And the series leaders also strike problem. Milan Doncia retiring with a broken drive shaft. 0 points for the Corvette drivers. Second in the championship, not without their woes either. Patrick Lamster and new teammate Donald Molinar pick up a puncture. And all of this means the race is won by Vaardsluis and Frederick Jonckera, the third victory of the season for the BMW M4 Silhouette drivers. Patrick Lamster and Donald Molinar have overhauled the championship leaders, so Ferdinand Kuhl and Milan Doncia know that they have to fight back immediately. They're 13 points behind going into race 2, but Kuhl knows Zandvoort like the back of his hand, and it shows in race 2. Kuhl and Doncia claim their 4th win of the season. Their Porsche driving rivals right behind them on the podium still have the lead, but the Corvette drivers cut the points deficit to 9. Kuhl and Doncia won the first race at the Gamma Racing Day, but trouble before the start of race 2. The engine refuses to run properly. They eventually drop back to 5th position, having started with the problem. Way out front, championship leaders Patrick Lamster and Donald Molinar win their first race of the season, to the great joy of the Belgian EMG Motorsport, who were champions in GTB 2 years ago with Patrick Lamster in the same car, and it looks as though they may be on course to repeat that feat with a 13-point advantage. Surprisingly, for the first time this season in the 6 rounds at Brands Hatch, it's an actual battle on track between the championship rivals, Donald Molinar harassing Ferdinand Kuhl. Defending deep down into Graham Hill Bend, very deep, offline, and that's going to send him out wide on the exit. He's over the rumble strips. Molinar's got the drive. Here we go, up the inside, around the Cooper Straight and into Surtees. He goes through a very assertive move and well taken change for 3rd place. In the closing stages, Donald Molinar takes the lead and they head to win number 2 of the season, extending their points advantage to 18. At Spa, the Porsche drivers are beaten fair and square by the Corvette duo. The Corvette drivers win race 1 and also end up on the podium in race 2, but on both occasions the EMG Motorsport Porsche pair are just a couple of spots behind them. In the championship, Molinar and Lamster, who finished 4th, are now just 14 points clear, with a maximum of 44 on offer at the final round at the TT circuit at Assen. All of which means a pair of finishes will do it. 4th and 5th are enough to keep the championship lead and take the title by 8 points. Cue the celebrations. It's been a great season. We've had highs and lows, but we've pulled it off. And the guys at EMG Motorsport, so much thanks to them. Every time they gave us a perfect car. I think it might be the oldest car of them all, 2006. We called it the old sausage, but what an amazing car. Super team, supercar. We're going to celebrate. 7 wins for Milan Doncia and Ferdinand Kuhl, but not quite enough reliability to overhaul the Porsche duo. EMG Motorsport take their 2nd GTB title, as Race Art did in the Super GT class. We know the champions now in the GT divisions, but what about Super Sport and Sport? And what about the IDIS Superlights Challenge? Stay with us to find out who comes out on top. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems. Welcome back to our review of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli, and we continue with our touring car classes, Sport and Supersport. Last year's Supersport champion Cor Oyser has not returned to defend his title, so that is up for grabs. In the first race of the season at Zandvoort, last year's runners-up Mark van der Aert and Koen Boekarts win in their BMW. They also take the lead in the second race, but in the end it's Dan Meyer who comes out victorious. Van der Aert and Boekarts still finish up in second, and they score most points here at Zandvoort, with Erik van der Munkhoff completing the championship top three. Van der Munkhoff, Boekarts and Van der Aert also dominate the second race weekend at Zolder, increasing their result seconds, which at Spa allows others to get onto the podium. Philip Bonnell and Bas Schouten winning the first race of the weekend. In the second encounter, Koen Boekarts takes the lead, the battle for second between Lotus driver Jan van der Kooi and Bas Schouten in the BMW. Schouten goes around the outside of the double left-hander to take second spot, but result seconds also affect their standings in the race, and in the end it's won by Dennis de Groot and Marc de Graaf, an impressive result as their 1 Series BMW doesn't have the greatest power-to-weight ratio, and the same is very much the case for second-placed Seat drivers Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein. Boekarts and Van Solen lose a little ground to Erik van der Munkhoff and to de Groot and de Graaf, but they still have a comfortable lead heading to round 4 at Zolder. Erik van der Munkhoff is the fastest man in practice, and he will start the first encounter from pole position. Away we go and watch the black and yellow Lotus. From fourth on the grid, Luc van Loon with a very good start. He's around both front row starters into the Eerste Linkse. Can he hold it? No, he can't. So the leader is Erik van der Munkhoff, but the black and yellow Lotus up into second. And alongside Peter van Solen, another BMW. And that is Steve van Bellingen, started 8th. He's already 4th in the second turn. What a great start he's made. But the young Lotus drivers chasing. There is the Seeker of Rick van Beek under pressure. And through past him goes the 1 Series BMW of Marc de Graaf and Dennis de Groot. Erik van der Munkhoff leading from Luc van Loon, then Huub Del Nooy, the 2 young Lotus drivers, just 20 and 17. The Lotuses get off to a great start, soon chasing down the race leader. And the Lotuses have been fast but fragile. Luc van Loon and teammate Jan van der Kooi have had 1 podium in front. Erik van der Munkhoff's won a race so far this season. Looking back from the leader, here comes the battle for first place. The Lotus trying to send it down the inside. Doesn't quite have the overlap. Now, can he outgun the BMW down the straight? Lighter Lotus, less power, but it accelerates quicker off the corner. He can brake a little later if he can keep his nose at least alongside into Eerste Linkse. Van der Munkhoff finds it very hard to counterattack. Unfortunately for Luc van Loon, the Lotus eventually lets him down and he has to park it. No one then to stand in the way of Erik van der Munkhoff, who takes his second Supersport win of the season. Close behind, Koen Boekarts and Peter van Solen, they retain their championship lead. And on the streaming wet Zolder circuit, Erik van der Munkhoff is again the standout. He wins the second race of the Zolder Super Prix. And that third win for Erik van der Munkhoff means that he has closed the gap to Koen Boekarts, Peter van Solen and Marc van der Aert from 11 points to just 8. At the TT circuit of Assen, however, the tables are turned as Erik van der Munkhoff only qualifies on row 3. The championship leaders start from pole. But Koen Boekarts is soon under pressure from the V8 GTR of Ruud Olly. Bas Schouten takes third place. As they head towards the pit stops, a long battle develops for the lead between Schouten and Boekarts. Philip Bonnell takes over during the pit stops and he takes the lead, together with Bas Schouten winning the second race of the season. The first 2 in the championship finish off the podium. Erik van der Munkhoff a very disappointing 9th. Boekarts and van der Aert are thus still on top of the championship, and in the second race they take the lead in the opening stages. But result seconds once more play a major role. After the pit stops, Ruud Olly finds himself out front. In only his second race weekend of the season, he claims victory. Dennis de Groot and Marc de Graaf are runners-up. Third goes to the Lotus duo, Jan van der Kooi and Luc van Loon. Our championship leaders, Kumberkark's Mark van der Aar, finished just 6th, but they were still 2 places ahead of Erik van der Munkhoff, who should have made up ground on them here at Assen, but instead sees their gap open even further. In the 6th round of the championship at Brands Hatch, the championship leaders once more look strong. They get into a battle with Bob Herber for the lead of the race. Kumberkark tries the outside line on the Mercedes. That doesn't work too well. Erik van der Munkhoff tries to take advantage immediately, but he's on the wrong side at Graham Hill Bend. Great battle at Brands Hatch, something that characterised the Supersport class all season long. In 4th place, Bas Schouten's EMG Motorsport BMW. In 5th place, Ruud Olly, winner of the previous race in Assen. Behind him, Michael Verhagen in the JR Motorsport M3 GTR. A bit further back, the Lotus Exige of Jan van der Kooi, who had to start from the back of the grid after a disappointing qualifying, but he is closing on the lead group. 8th place, BMW 1 Series GTR of Mark de Graaf and Dennis de Groot, also race winners this year. You have to defend hard in the technical sections at Brands Hatch, makes it hard to get by the car in front. But after a number of laps, Ruud Olly finally seizes an opportunity out of Stirling's, uses the V8's engine power superbly. Ruud Olly, who won the first race of the weekend, also making his way forward in this one. Making their way to the top of the pile though, Martin Short and Richard Neary winning at home. Erik van der Munkhoff in 2nd, Mark de Graaf and Dennis de Groot in 3rd. A trying weekend for Erik van der Munkhoff, closing just 2 points on the series leaders, who could tie up the title next time at Spa-Francorchamps. The BMW drivers are leading the championship on account of their own speed rather than the mistakes of others, and that is again clear in the Belgian Ardennes. Having won the first race of the weekend with Erik van der Munkhoff in 5th, they're just a few points away from the title. If van der Munkhoff can hold them off, he'll force it to go to the next round, but even that doesn't happen. Kumberkark and Mark van der Aar win the 2nd race of the weekend as well, and that makes them the new champions in the Supersport class. It's amazing, says Mark. We've ended up 2nd place so often. It's our first championship title together. Shane Peter's not here to celebrate, but he's doing another race here at Spa. We all did a great job, though. We can be very proud of ourselves. So happy in a championship where the points are so close. 20 for a win, 18 for 2nd and so on. We've got a championship with 1 race weekend to go. Shows how well we've done. And with 282 points in total at the end of the season, they're not only the best in the Supersport class, but throughout the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. The Sport class, as ever, produced superb racing. In one of 3 Spirit Racing Renault Clios is this man, Rob Neiman. And after many times being the bridesmaid, he's super motivated to try and claim the championship. At Zandvoort, having been 2nd on Saturday, battling with John van der Voort in the BMW 1 Series for victory in race 2. A 1-2 finish, in fact, because his teammate Frank Bedorf claimed 2nd, John van der Voort and Benjamin van den Berg in 3rd in their BMW. So the podium, Rob Neiman the winner from Frank Bedorf, John van der Voort and Benjamin van den Berg in 3rd, P2 in race 1, P1 in race 2. Rob Neiman is the championship leader, but not by much. And not for long, because 2nd in the championship after the first race weekend, victory in race 2 at Zolder, in only his first full season in the Supercar Challenge, vaults Wiebe Weizsäß into contention. Rob Neiman was the points leader after the opening round at Zolder, but now in 2nd place he's a point behind Wiebe Weizsäß. The Peugeot drivers are 3 points adrift. Vogt and Vandenbroek fought back at Spa. In the weekend's first race, Chris and Bart take advantage of pole and create a big gap over their rivals, who are mired in a battle for 2nd and losing ground. But then they pick up a drive-through penalty. That hands the lead to Wiebe Weizsäß in the Clio, and he goes on to win his 2nd race of the season, the Renault driver extending his championship lead. But on Sunday, disaster struck. He'd already noticed in the first encounter the engine wasn't quite up to snuff, and now it dies on him, leaving him with a 0 score. The lead is held by youngster Stan van der Oord, but Chris Vogt and Bart Vandenbroek with the Peugeot RCZ quickly close in. 3rd on Saturday, they pile on the pressure, and as Van Oord goes too wide in Pouhon, he has no chance against the attacks of Bart Vandenbroek. In the 6th race of the season, the Peugeot drivers claim their first win. But as our podium finishers celebrate, it seems that the Peugeot is now equally a match for its French rivals, the Clios. And Vogt and Vandenbroek are the new sport class leaders. Weber Weizsäß 1 point ahead of Rob Neiman behind. It is a tight battle at the top. What's clear is if Weber Weizsäß's car doesn't let him down, he will remain a force to be reckoned with. In the fourth round at Zolder, he takes the lead and wins the race with the fastest lap. After 6 races, he's now got 3 wins, but his closest rivals are also on the podium. Rob Neiman second, the Peugeot drivers in third. On a streaming wet Zolder circuit, Weber Weizsäß once more shows that he is in top form. A top 3 for Renault Clios, Weizsäß taking victory once more. Consistency sees Rob Neiman 9 points behind Weizsäß, further 4 back the Peugeot duo Chris Vogt and Bart Vandenbroek. But in this form, looks like Weizsäß is going to be a hard man to catch. The racing is always close in the sport division, sometimes just a little too close. Here under braking for the Geert Timmer chicane, Bart Vandenbroek on the outside doesn't quite leave enough room for Rob Neiman, and as they collide, they both drop back. Unfortunately for Peter de Jong in the lead, he's out with a broken drive shaft, so our rivals move up a spot. Rob Neiman finished in 4th, Weber Weizsäß on the left there, extending his championship advantage. But in race 2, Weizsäß is down in 5th. And looking for a way to get by, dives to the inside but misjudges it completely, runs into the back of Teun Rutgers and takes off his own right front wheel. Carlien Bergsma and Peter de Jong claim their first victory of the season, ahead of Stan van Oort with Kim Troyan in 3rd. And with Weber Weizsäß dropping out and Chris Vogt and Bart Vandenbroek not finishing either, Rob Neiman once more takes the lead in the championship. Weizsäß might be down, but he's definitely not out. At Brands Hatch, he quickly leaves everyone behind. He wins both races, with Rob Neiman in 4th in both encounters, and that means Weizsäß once more takes the lead of the championship. It's so close, however, that any mistakes in the season finale at Assen could hand the title to his rivals. Into the pit stops, Weber Weizsäß needs only to complete another 25% of race distance to be classified, but he needs to finish in front of Vogt and Vandenbroek to win the championship in this race. The team send him away for his second stint, but I'm not sure they're convinced that he's completed his mandatory pit stop time. However, no penalties were handed out to Weber Weizsäß. He finishes 3rd in class despite his 40 result seconds. With Vogt and Vandenbroek down in 6th, he's the new sport class champion. I'm so happy, he says. It's unbelievable. The team did such a great job. They really deserve it. It's good. Now I'm going to the podium. A clearly emotional Weizsäß has a 24-point lead now, only 21 available in the final race. He is our champion. Weizsäß coming out with the title despite incident and accident, but problems also befell his rivals, so next year's sport class encounter could be just as tight. But for now, celebrating his first full season in Supercar Challenge, party time for champion Weber Weizsäß.
Hey jongens, bedankt hè!
Titles up for grabs in the IDIS Superlights Challenge. Who'll come out on top? You'll have to join us after the break to find out. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems. The 2015 IDIS Superlights Challenge saw increasing grid numbers and fierce racing between highly developed sports prototypes across 2 classes. Cars like the Norma M20 FC run by Deldish Racing. It's their debut season in the IDIS Superlights Challenge, with drivers Sam de Jonge, the newest member of the Belgian national racing team, and Luc de Kock, known for his racing in the sport class of the Supercar Challenge. Baskhausen entered the Wolf GBO8 CM prototype for Germany's Jörg Schumacher and Dutchman Jovan Splunteren, as they also make their debut. In the season opener at Zandvoort, Radical SR8 driver Henk Tace takes the lead. Second place is Luc de Kock with the white Norma. Third, Bob Herbert with the second Wolf GB08 run by Baskouten Racing. Fourth, Tim Josen in the Black Tartars from Ichiban Racing. Jörg Schumacher, the black and gold, in fifth. Schumacher, though, emerged to be one of the best drivers at Zandvoort because despite his limited experience, he nearly took victory just 2 seconds behind Henk Tace. In race 2, it all went wrong for Luc de Kock. He completely outbraked himself at Tarzan and ended up in the gravel. Not a successful weekend for the pole sitter for both races. IDIS Racing also had pole for the second round at Zolder. Sam de Jong keeping the lead in the first race ahead of championship leader Jörg Schumacher in the black and gold Wolf. But de Jonge made no mistakes and took the first win of the season for the team. In the second race, de Jonge not able to keep the lead. Donald Molinar's much more powerful Radical SR8 grabbing first spot. But Molinar lost the lead, shooting straight off in the hospital corner. Tim Josen grabbing first position, but losing it in the same corner to Sam de Jonge. No mistakes from the youngster, and with victory in both encounters here at Zolder, Luc de Kock and Sam de Jong move up from 5th to 2nd in the championship, just 3 points behind leaders Jörg Schumacher and Joey van Splunteren. Things are looking very close indeed in the IDIS Superlights Challenge. The third round of the season was also at Zolder in the Syntix Super Prix. Henk Tace takes the lead in race 2, but decides to block Sam de Jong on the wet line, and Joey van Splunteren takes the advantage around the outside to grab the lead. Sam de Jong spins on the exit of the first corner and drops way back in the field. After pit stops, it's Jörg Schumacher who holds the lead, claims win number 2 of the season, and continues to lead the championship with Joey van Splunteren. Fourth round is at Spa-Francorchamps, and that puts an end to the championship leader's tenure at the top of the standings. Sam de Jong grabs pole position and is another point closer, but for Jörg Schumacher, it's a disaster. The engine cries enough after just a few laps. With 0 for them and maximum points for Sam de Jong and Luc de Kock, IDIS Racing drivers take the lead in the standings. In Sunday's treacherous conditions, Pim van Riet takes the lead, and at the hairpin at La Source, Jörg Schumacher gets it wrong on the inside, clatters into the side of Luc de Kock's white Norma, where the oil cooler is located. And that leaks, meaning the end of the race for IDIS Racing, 0 points. Pim van Riet ends up victorious ahead of Tim Josen and Jörg Schumacher, but Schumacher and Van Spluntren's points were taken away because they started on cut slicks, which is not allowed, and that means that IDIS Racing has an 11-point advantage heading into the Formido final races in Assen. All they need to do is keep their heads, make no mistakes, and it's mission accomplished. Sam de Jong and Luc de Kock are successful. In their first season, they win the Group 1 championship of the IDIS Superlights Challenge.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Just fantastic, says Luke. Sam did all the hard work. I only had to finish. Everything was perfect. Very pleased. Tim Josen wins his first Group 1 race after he also made his debut in a CM prototype this season. Tim Josen almost caught Jörg Schumacher and Joey van Splunteren for second in the championship as the CM prototypes make up the top 3 spots against the more powerful Radical SR8s. The Group 2 championship battle was fought out between the Praga R1 with drivers like Paul Celius and reigning champion Carlo Kaya and the Radical SR3s of former champion Co Copion and Vibo Rademacher. Also the older generation CN prototypes of formidable competitors in Group C2. And that became clear in the first race weekend at Zandvoort, where Co Copion had the lead in the first race, but lost it to Belgian Norma driver Philippe de Klerk. The man with the green and white Norma M20F won the opening encounter from compatriot David Hotoff, also with a Norma, and German Hauke Hirschler in a Radical SR3. Not such easy pickings in race 2 though for de Klerk, Vibo Rademacher and Paul Celius right on his heels. Rademacher would eventually win the race with Philippe de Klerk in second and Celius third in the little R1. Championship leader Philippe de Klerk also won the first race at Zolder, but again in race 2, resistance came in the form of the Radicals and the Praga. This time Carlo Kaya in the lead in his Praga, Philippe de Klerk in second, Vibo Rademacher third in the red and white Radical. But Carlo Kaya and teammate Noel Kohler dropped back with mechanical woes, so Philippe de Klerk in fact ends up winning his third race of the season. In the Cintiq Super Prix, Philippe de Klerk also won the first race of the weekend ahead of Donald Molinar and Dick Freebird, both in Radical SR3s. David Hotoff won his first race of the season in the second encounter at Zolder, with Philippe de Klerk in 5th position, retaining the lead of the Group 2 Championship. Heinz Kramer wins the first race at Spa with his Osella ahead of Praga driver Paul Salius, Philippe de Klerk in 3rd place. And as one of the few that gambled on wets on a slowly drying track in the second encounter, he wins his 5th race of the season, which gives him such a huge championship lead that all he needs to do is finish the first race in Assen to claim the title. That's exactly what he does, winning for the 6th time ahead of Dick Freeberg and David Hotoff. Thus, he is the new champion in the IDIS Superlights Challenge for Group 2. And that's a big boost for Philippe de Klerk after his troubles last time out in Spa.
Ja, dat was echt een zwaar momentje.
Well, Spa was really the lowest point of our season. We almost gave up hope entirely. Really wasn't sure whether we could fix the damage. We managed to shrug off all our woes though. We put all our effort into repairing the car, together with all our friends and our teammates. We worked an all-nighter, it was worth it, and I'm super happy, so proud of what we accomplished. It's really a small team. We got a very limited budget, limited resources. Most of the time I do everything myself. The racing itself, obviously, of course, but also the preparation, so I'm very proud of this result. The huge Spa practice shunt didn't deter him. A 46-point championship win by Philippe de Klerk, and Paul Salius takes second on the tiebreak with more podiums than Heinz Kramer. The Supercar Challenge, powered by Pirelli, and the IDIS Superlights Challenge offer the perfect arena for close competitive racing with GTs, touring cars and prototypes. For 2016, the organisers have brought in significant changes to provide drivers with more driving time in a shorter time frame. The grids of the GT and Sport classes will merge to form fields of up to 50 cars. On Saturday, there'll be free practice sessions and qualifying, and on Sunday, 2 enduros. In the morning, a 60-minute race, and in the afternoon, a longer 90-minute encounter. The IDIS Superlights Challenge already uses this format, but for 2016 both races will be 50 minutes, more driving time. The Supercar Challenge calendar for 2016 includes 8 race weekends in the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany and Slovakia. The IDIS Superlights Challenge uses the same calendar except for the races at Spa. It all kicks off at Zandvoort on the 9th and 10th of April. Oschersleben is the German venue on the 21st and 22nd of May. Spa-Francorchamps, of course, on the calendar on the 11th and 12th of June for the Spa Euro races. And we stay in Belgium for the Zolder Super Prix on the 2nd and 3rd of July. And one of the seasonal highlights returns, the popular Gamma Racing Days at Assen, the 5th to 7th of August. Supercar Challenge on tour this year goes to the Slovakia Ring on the 17th and 18th of September. And the traditional Spa Racing Festival is on the calendar too on October the 8th and 9th. And we round out with the Famido final races at Assen, October the 21st to 23rd. It promises to be another barnstorming season for the Supercar Challenge and IDIS Superlights Challenge. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Cintiq's innovative lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS high-definition surveillance systems.